Howdy mates, good morning. Here's a part 3 video. We're now over at the beach facing the Gulf right now on near Estero Island in Fort Myers. If you actually look way out there in the distance, you can see like the skyline. As you go further south, you get to see parts of Naples, and if you're really lucky, you look even further out in the distance, that's Marco Island. And actually for a day like this, it's really most ideal to really look at the distant skyline, since it is a bit sunny out. But yes, Lover's Key State Park also, you have a chance to really see the Gulf. And you can see right now, the water actually looks a bit murky. That's just because, you know, with some of the recent storms we've had and just a very large mix-up of sediments. And not only that, but we're also near the Caloosahatchee River, which empties out into the Gulf nearby. And I hate to say it, but the Caloosahatchee is actually one of the most contaminated rivers in Florida. And many of you already know why. But for those of you who don't, the Caloosahatchee is a river that actually empties out from Lake Okeechobee and thus carries cyanobacteria and even traces of several types of bacteria as well. And with that being said, it's also one of the most nutrient-based rivers, full of phosphates and nitrates. And so a lot of algal blooms can happen in that river. And thus, it can give rise to the red tide happening out here. And I'm sure many of you know that back in 2018, the red tide was a really huge environmental problem. And it still is, even to this day. Fortunately though, since it is in the wintertime, it's not as prevalent, you know, especially with the water as chilly as it is. But usually it's more of a problem when it approaches into the summer months. But right now, probably the water is most likely 60 some degrees, maybe even lower than that, you know, especially with this past evening, you know, with it reaching in the upper 20s. And you got me, you know, wearing a short sleeve shirt, but I'm still wearing my pants, rest assured. It's finally warmed up a little bit. But yes, this is a very highly protected habitat, you know, given that it is part of the state park. So just a reminder, you know, for these sand dunes, try as much as you can to not walk on them, just because it's very sensitive. And were it not for these dunes, this island would be even more eroded than what it already is. And I'm sure too, since it is a state park, it's frequently dredged and filled with sand. That's actually been something that's been occurring at Stump Pass Beach State Park, up closer to my neck of the woods of Inglewood. Oh, got to hear wood twice. How about that? But yeah, just a nice little stroll out here. Definitely something different. Oh, this is neat. We actually have something here called sand glass or sea glass, something like that. But it is symmetrical, except it looks like the other half is broken right now. But you can see, if you look at it real carefully at the right angle, it does appear iridescent. So it's actually quite neat to look at. But it is naturally formed in the ocean. So by no means was it added here at all. Let's see. But yeah, you can find all kinds of sea shells. Seashell? Yeah. Hard to say really fast. Here we go. This is another type of shell called a Coquina. It's actually, what's neat about this particular Coquina is it's binded by something called a marine glue that is formed naturally by the organism. That's what allows both of those symmetrical shells to stay attached. And you can see it's really tiny. And oftentimes when you spread it out, it highly resembles a butterfly. Now I believe Coquina, it's a highly used type of shell, especially on the roads in Florida, especially, you know, since they're so abundant and they're not really that large or sharp either. But oftentimes you'll find them in more of the shallow areas of the sea. And sometimes, depending on wave activity, they like to burrow into the sand as well. Crazy to think about, you know? Essentially beaches with all these shells, it's essentially one big grave site in a sense. And we're walking right on top of it. No way to sugarcoat that one. Oh, here we go. A little sand dollar right here. It's actually a type of echinoderm, closely related to our starfish. Let's see. Okay. Here we go. This is one of the more common organisms too in Florida. This is a cockle. And they usually go into more of the deeper parts of the ocean. Same thing, they like to commonly search for other invertebrates as well, and even feed on plankton. These are all essentially filter feeders, in a sense. And last but not least, this is just another one. I believe this is called an angel wing, as far as I can recall. It's another example of a bivalve. So it has another perfectly symmetrical shell. And when they're both together, they resemble angels' wings, hence the name. But same thing. They like to be in more of the shallower areas as well. It's alright, you guys. Thank you all for watching. I'm just glad that it's at least a sunny day today. Thank goodness. We haven't really seen the sun for a couple of days, so it's a bit of a relief. You know, a piece of that vitamin D never hurts. So alright, you guys, take care, enjoy your Sunday, and Journey on a Journey is outwards. Take care, folks. See ya.